presenting your host for the Racecoin podcast, Jay.
What's going on, my Racecoin fans? I'm joined here by Oswaldo Negri Jr. He is a Brazilian racing driver and is someone who is amazingly just won so many races from Daytona, Petit Le Mans, and he's from Sao Paulo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Walken. Thanks for having me on your show.
So, tell us, you started at the age of 9 back in 1973, if I'm not wrong. So, talk us through that journey. What got you into motorsport and when did you first get into the car?
It's actually a pretty cool story. I used to go to school early in the mornings, and during the weekdays, my mom had a terrible time waking me up, getting me off bed to go to school. And my mom and dad, they were very hard-working guys, and they worked from Monday to Saturdays. Mm-hmm. Right. So on Sundays, I used to wake up by myself at 7 a.m. because there was go-kart race on TV. And I used to go like full volume. And my dad used to come by and, what are you doing? You know, today is the only day off. It's the day we can get to sleep in and so on. And I go like, Dad, look at that. That's what I want to do. And he goes, but this is too expensive. We can't afford it. And I go like, no, at the time I was 8. So I look at my dad and I go like, what do you mean you work?
What are you working for?
What do you mean you don't have money? So he goes like, but it's a lot of money. And to cut me off, he says, well, one day if I win on the lottery, I'll take you there and you're gonna start racing. And I go like, really? Do you swear to me you're gonna do that? He goes like, yes. Now put the volume down and everything. I go like, Dad, I'm gonna start praying right now. So 2 weeks later, my dad won the lottery, and that's
no way. Oh my God! Seriously, that
was my first lesson of our mind power, the power we have on our mind with our thoughts. I was just 8 years old, and that's what I wanted to do in my life, and it happened.
So what God are you praying to? Because I think everyone wants to know what prayer you did or what God you're praying to, or how did it just work out,
I just prayed. I just, started as a kid. I knew how to, a couple of praise that, my parents and my grandparents used to teach me. And that was it. It was just saying, hey, help me. Gotta do this. There's a chance. If there's a chance, there's an opportunity. So, give it to me. And it happened.
Yeah, I guess it's really worked out and in your favor, and you've had an illustrative career. You've done, so many races, and you've, are still competing with people, as we were just discussing, like half your age right now, and training by doing like 35-mile bike rides followed by 1.5 hours in the gym. You've got so much under your belt already. How would you like to be remembered?
Well, I would like to be remembered as someone that I always gave everything I could in everything I did, and that's what I try to pass on to my daughters. It doesn't matter what it is, if you're doing it, if you're allocating the time for it, why not do it, at its max? Like if I go to the racetrack, that's a time to give it like 110%. If I'm on the gym, now that I'm older, I've got to give it like 150%. But as long as I can do something well done, right, and be happy with my performance and know that I didn't leave anything on the table. Yes, that's the main thing, especially on the racing side. Obviously, on a personal side, I just, want to want to leave a good example as an honest guy, and especially on this business. Motor racing is such a small business, right? That you don't know who you're gonna meet later on in your career, and you've got to leave your doors open, and you do that, being honest and doing a good job. I raced for here in the U.S. I raced for Michael Shank Racing for 14 years, so it's almost unheard that.
Yeah,
Um,
especially.
and that long goes a long way. Not only on the personal side as the professional side also. So.
Yeah, definitely. It is definitely so unheard of these days, maximum a year, 2 years, and people are always switching teams or sponsors and God knows what else, right? So it's one of these things that I guess something to learn from you. But let's talk about the flip side. On the other side, people are always struggling to find that extra bit of effort inside them, or always struggling to really, in a perfect world, obviously everyone wants to execute at 100% all the time.
Right.
But people burn out. People feel like, there's no way I can give anymore. People feel like, I've already given it for so long, but nothing has happened, as an example, right? Like, how lucky do you have to be to win the lottery within 2 weeks, sort of thing? That sort of luck isn't really experienced by many people, and therefore naturally they get disheartened. And they feel like they're struggling, they're trying all the time, but it doesn't work out in their favor. So what would you say to people who are trying to still achieve what you're doing and put in the work ethic and have the work ethic that you have, but can't?
It's almost hard to explain, because like I have other friends that started racing with me and they're not racing anymore because they gave up. For some reason I just don't give up. I really try until there's no more options, and so far I never got to the part of no more options. And I'm a very spiritual person, and I also think there's a lot to do with you deserving, it's meant to be. Sometimes I give you an example. For example, I used to live in England. I went there to try Formula One, to try to be in Formula One. I raced British Formula 3 in the early 90s. And, at the end, when I was close to getting to Formula One, something happened that it kind of blocked that road. So that when I came to the US, at that time I thought, okay, all my dreams, all my hard work, it's all gone, right? But in my opinion, it was like that wasn't meant to be for me to be in F1. My story was somewhere else. It was here in the US. I thought I was never gonna be happy. I even got into a depression, but little did I know that I'm 100% sure I will not be as happy as I am now, or what I've been through my career, if I didn't do what I did. Meet the people that I met, and won the races that I won. And, here I am, 55, and I'm still racing, So you just have to not only try hard and exhaust all the options, but also to listen to the messages that life gives you. Sometimes the door closes, but it is because a better one is going to open, and you've got to be ready to go through when you see that. There, like you said, there are people that give up before they go through the second door. So I think that's extremely how can I say, um, it was extremely important for me, and it's still going. In like 2016, I talked to my wife about, okay, so maybe it's time to stop racing, right? So 2017, Shank presented me with a good contract with the factory drive, and I go like, okay, one more year, and then okay, we did that year, and I go like, okay, so that's it. Then I really was kind of okay, let me enjoy life a little bit, besides motor racing, and I didn't last year. I wasn't supposed to race, but by May, the team needed a very experienced driver, with my ratings, my driver rating, and all the good experienced drivers with the same ratings that I have, they were all taken. So I was the only one there in holiday, in vacation. And it was a call from a Ferrari team, and I go like, I've got to take this one. So,
I keep trying to leave and they keep pulling me
yeah,
back in, right?
exactly. And so, and that's what's going on right now. I've been racing with AF Corsa, and it's been great. For some reason, it just like re- made it made me alive again. It's crazy, because at one point I was like, okay, so a good friend of mine tells me, hey, when are you going to stop? And I go like, yeah, I still like it, I still enjoy it. And after last year's call, I'm enjoying even more. So, and when you do it and you enjoy it yourself, everything happens the right way. If you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and it becomes like
A
struggle, then you don't perform well. It doesn't matter who the driver is, you don't do it well. I've seen in Formula One, IndyCar, and sports cars everywhere. So that's one thing also that I learned. You've got to enjoy to be performing well.
So what's your motto in life? Because something's working well, clearly, right? So how would you summarize that message? What's
I
the
think it's a
motto?
good balance of everything. It's a balance of my professional career with my personal and family. I really enjoy my family a lot, in the good and bads. Like I do a lot of coaching. I coach and drivers also. So I was away for 3 weeks, and I was actually in California, and I went to see my daughter that lives in New York. And my wife was supposed to fly with my oldest daughter from Miami to New York. Their flight got canceled. It was Easter weekend, so it's pretty busy. And we just gotta make the most out of it. So it was just me and my daughter, and I took it. Okay, so let me have that moment 100%. And instead of being bitching and going like, hey, my other half didn't come, and so on. So um it's just finding the all the positive stuff that happens daily in your life, and just take it 100%.
And in that 100%, I'm sure throughout all these different races you've entered, all of the places you've visited, I mean, what is the most thrilling event you've ever participated in, or potentially won, or been to?
The one that the biggest one that I won is definitely Daytona, because it was in 2012, and the previous 7 years, we
we, I mean, when I say we, it's not me, it's me and the team.
The team, yeah.
Yeah, we led most of the, if not every year. And there was always something that happened that robbed the win from us. And in 2012, against my way of thought, I was like, okay, I just gotta wait for the thing to happen. So we're not gonna win this one either, because we were on the lead. And well, the little thing that never happened, and we won the race. And it's very hard to explain how much it takes to do it, physically, mentally, not only by me but by my whole crew, my whole family here. They have to put up with me. I mean, I can hardly put up with me before a 24-hour race. Imagine them. And that's definitely the one thing that I won't forget. And that feeling when I won that race, it's my motto for everything else. It actually, I mean, I had a good motivation until then, but now after you taste something as good as that, then you go to a different level, and that's what you're gonna look for every time you are on track.
Yeah, of course. And, I guess it's the people, like you said, the team that, and the people that in your home and your family that makes it worthwhile and makes it possible as well at the same time. So who and what inspires you? What do you feel is that which is your true drive and motivation, and you look up to?
Well, it's a little story. It's a little story because obviously it happened like back, when I was young. Brazil, it's a great country. It's a country with really nice people, happy people, in the good and bad times. But the country was going through really bad, really rough time, and there were only at the time um, two idols that were the guys that every kid wanted to be one of them, which was
Ronaldinho.
even more Pelé.
Yeah. Even
and Emerson Fittipaldi.
Yeah.
At the time. So then after that, motor racing, after Emerson won his first world championship, and then the second one, motor racing started growing a lot in Brazil. Then Nelson Piquet came, and then there was Ayrton Senna, and everyone wanted to be as good as Ayrton Senna or as close, and again, if you look at his story, he's a guy that always gave 300% of everything he had and everything.
Yeah.
Not sure if he was that happy, but there was a guy that every Sunday in Brazil, people would wake up super early to watch race. While the country was in terrible state, as economical state and political state. That's what would bring happiness to people. And then you go like, oh man, I wish one day I can be as a good use to the Brazilian people, just like Ayrton Senna is. And obviously he was one of my main idols, going through my career.
So would he be one of your dream dinner guests? Like if you could fill let's say a few seats on a dinner table for the...
Why, for sure.
Who else would you add to this list?
Yeah. Let me think.
Dream dinner guests.
Wow. There's There's a lot of people that I can think. Um, Ronaldinho would be one of them. I would love to hear his stories. But yeah, Ayrton, just because he was a different person. I mean, if you knew him, you would realize quick that he was definitely a one of a kind, and I wouldn't like to have only one dinner with him. I would like to have a lot of dinners, because you can't. I'm pretty sure you can't get
to know and really kind of
know. Yes, yeah. So, and I like a small table. I don't like a big table.
One-to-one, getting to know people properly and personally. Okay, no, that's cool.
Yes,
So, how has your definition of beauty changed over time? I'm sure, like what you, I mean, you can take this question in any direction you want, whether that's beauty in motorsport, beauty in life, beauty in what you see within people. Like, where do you want to take it? But how has that definition changed over time?
I don't think it changed, because you try to see beauty in everything, and like I said, I mean, I really look for the I look at a positive piece of what's going on, and I've been fortunate enough to have a beautiful career, a beautiful family, beautiful friends. I'm very suspect to say anything about where I live, which is Miami. Everywhere you go, it's interesting, because after a long time on the road, and with a lot of pressure and stress, you come back home in 2 days and your batteries are charged, because 365 days a year it's sunny and beautiful weather. I mean, the wind can blow hard here. We've been lucky so far, but it's a place where you can do outdoors activities all year long, and it's for someone that does what I do. That's a must. That's where you recharge your batteries and get ready to get going again.
And is reading part of this? You mentioned that as one of your hobbies. Is that something that you still make time for and have time for?
Well, I used to do a lot more than what I do now. Netflix took a little but I really like, for example, watching series that are not fiction. Like I've watched a few seasons of that it's history, basically. There's a little bit of fiction, but the
primarily,
the primary, yes, it's there. My favorite one is Tudors. It was one of the first ones that I watched, but yeah, I still have a couple of books that I love reading. One of them I read almost every year, over and over, which is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's a great motivating book, and yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, one last question that I have is, when you see your career now almost coming to an end, I mean, if by the age of 75 you still aren't being pulled back into another new contract that's keeping you driving
it's easy. When I stop enjoying it, then it's done. As far as as long as I'm enjoying, like just before I connected with you, I was doing a PowerPoint driving notes for Monza. I tested in Monza in 2016, so it's been a few years. So I was doing, everything very with very small details. So when I get back there now next month, it doesn't take all day to or too long to get back into the track. I try to get as much details as possible. So when I get there, I can get going as quick as possible. Um, uh, those tracks in Europe, like living here in the US, I'm not there as often as I was before. So I've got to get going as quick as I can, and preparing for the test, and I
Do you use
enjoy that.
simulators, by the way?
I do. I have one in my garage that I warm up, and I use a very, very good sim here in Florida. It's called GPX Lab.
Yes, I spoke to one of the founders of that.
Yeah, Jeff Siegel,
Yep.
and he was actually my teammate in 2016.
Oh, cool.
And it's actually amazing. When I went to Le Mans, I did a lot of sim work with them, and when I first went to Le Mans, when I first rode the track, it was like I had been there for for a few
Hundreds
times.
of times,
So
yeah.
yeah, so it really helps a lot. Doing here at home, because like I said, I was traveling a lot and I don't have much time. So I use this one just to warm up. But before we go to Le Mans again this year, that's definitely, I'm going to be spending some time with Jeff.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Awesome to hear that. And in terms of your plans for when you do actually retire, what do you see the shift being in terms of your attention for time?
I definitely would like to be involved with motor racing on the management side. Like I already worked with a few drivers. I worked with a young American driver. His name is Darren Keane. I actually took him to England quite a few times to test British Formula 3 with Carling. Um, and he's an extremely talented guy. And again, like I enjoy passing on to him what I know, so we can cut his learning curve and help him. Obviously, throughout my career, I learn a lot by my mistakes, much more by my mistakes than anything else. And I'm always very conscious of not letting it happen to him. In the other hand, on a parallel to that, like my nephew started racing in Brazil, same age as when I started racing when he was 9. He races go-karts. So I went there 2 weeks ago to help him, in one of the races, and it's crazy because it's almost like a deja vu. The whole family is there, like my parents, and
Awesome.
the only bad thing is that I really get a lot of I get nervous. I get more nervous just watching him than what I do when I'm in a car.
Yeah.
Again, because the risks. He's young. He's not thinking about it. And but that's my that's my goal. That's my goal. And I like I said, I'm blessed to have the family I have, and have the support from them that I have, and this is my biggest trophy.
That's awesome. And just as a final question, did you actually give either of these guys, your nephew or Darren Keane, you said, the ultimate prayer for winning everything, or have you kept that for yourself?
No, I've been given them everything. Believe me. If they win, it's like me winning through them also,
Yeah.
And I when they do well, I cheer I get extremely happy. That feeling is almost the same as when I win a race or I'm on pole position. It's almost the same. It's very close. So, and it's a good thing. It's a very satisfying thing, which means that that motor, that thing that drives me, will keep happening for a long time.
That's really awesome, and the fact that you're spreading a message of caring for others as much as you care for yourself is awesome too.
That's an important thing, because I definitely did not get where I got without help. I had a lot of help. So it's time for me to give it back, and I do it like 100%.
Awesome. It's been an amazing pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure was mine. It was a pretty awesome chat with you.
If you like this episode of the Racecoin podcast, go ahead and subscribe so you can get notified every Monday when a new episode is out. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.